Good morning. We had already quite a few disclaimers this morning, so you already see the change here, but if you looked at the agenda, my first disclaimer is I'm not Christiana. But it started, and for those who already met me last year, so I enjoyed it so much that I thought, oh, there is one colleague that needs to be presenting at Next. And I reached out to Dario and said, Dario, you need to meet Christiana. She would be absolutely perfect. She's our VP for omnichannel. And we organized that session. And unfortunately, yesterday, just got a message from her that she was under the weather and couldn't come. And I was feeling bad on so many levels. The first one is very bad for Christiana. She was looking forward. Bad for Dario, because you know in those events, last-minute change of agenda, always a nightmare. And I'm like, okay, well, I was in the team at the beginning of this story. I feel responsible, so I would do one thing that you should never do, but I will improvise and I can step in at the last minute. So I will give my best shot. Thank you. Thank you. But I feel so bad because you will see me already on the agenda a couple of other times, and for you and even more for the Lilly colleagues, they're like, oh no, not him again. So you might have an overdose, sorry about it. But here, another disclaimer, and that will be an interesting disclaimer if we have lawyers in the room, because I say that for that presentation and my presentation, and you heard it, those are our opinion, but here I'm going to present not my personal opinion, but Christiana's opinions through my lens, which will be interesting as well. But let's go. So we are going to talk about, and I think that's very in line with what we heard this morning about how, if we talk about omnichannel, how do we align the different functions that are at the heart of omnichannel? And our humble, and it's far from the single truth, but our experience along that journey. So first thing, and here, when I committed to do that presentation, other mistake, I thought I knew about the general topic, but then when I saw the slides a couple of hours ago, I realized that I have no clue. I have never seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The only thing that is closely a Western movie is Back to the Future 3. So I will try to tiptoe my best about the story, but from what I understood, I did a lot of Googling. Again, thanks you, Google. You are saving your life. From what I understand, so The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is about, three cowboys that are each of them on the same mission, on the same adventure, but each of them with their own interest, with their own agenda. And then I said, like, okay, now I understand this is exactly very similar to what we are seeing when we are thinking about, our goal, our single mission is to help our patients, is to help our customers, but all the different functions, the good, the bad, the ugly, I don't think that we will give a direct adjective for each of them. I will let you figure it out, but each of those functions can have very different agendas that might be conflicting, ending up in a bit of the famous Western standoff. That's one of the few things I know. And I thought it was a good parable to this story. So when we started the journey a couple of years ago, and that was in my previous role, so I was there back when I was working in omnichannel analytics back in the day, so I saw, and one thing we did was to ask, when we were seeing that those different functions had to work together to serve the customer, we asked medical and we asked marketing to pick an animal to represent the other. And I will not tell you who chose what, but you can also guess, but that's what I saw. So very much, we were in this situation, very much like the different cowboys, each of them looking at the other, like instead of, we can band together to go to achieve the quest, to get to the treasure. No, let's go the other, our enemy, our competitor. So that was already a long journey that we had to follow. So we were on this journey. COVID came, so that's when we started, that was in 2019, and that's something that was interesting when we started getting this feedback from our customers, we started getting this feedback from patients. They really don't care about which function is serving them. They just want to get the right information. The channels through which they were getting this content was starting to change and to evolve a little bit. So that was a bit the slap in the face and the accelerator that we needed. Like, let's put our functional differences aside and let's start working on how can we cater to those needs that are expressed by our customers. So that's when we started our own omnichannel journey. Again, one thing that will be interesting is that I will not talk about tech. I think we also discussed it this morning, but it's all about, human beings. It's all about the proverbial OCM, change management, all about building the culture, etc. So it will be very little about tech, but it's really a journey that we are following. We are just on this journey, so I think the conclusion is there is still a lot of good, bad, and very ugly in it. We don't claim that we have the final truth and answers, but we tried and we stumbled a bit along the way in how to do that. And really, I will show a bit how we followed those different steps to get there. So the first one, it starts with leadership. If we don't have leadership that is aligned in it, if each leadership, and it's interesting, each leadership needs first to look at it from an integrated standpoint when they are together. That's already a first point. That's not a given. We need to work on this culture. We need to get them to buy in working together. But then we need also to ensure that when they are back to their functional meeting, to their organization, they do the same. Because it's very easy, to have this facade. Oh yeah, we are all in it together. But then when we go and we get the challenges, etc., it's not just a kind of what we call a kind of a facade type of or headline type of alignment. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be contagious. That's something that's important. That feeling, the organization feel that leadership is meaning it. So it took time. It took a lot of time to get a lot of courageous senior leaders to go in the room to agree, we are going to go together, we are going to have one common vision, etc. And one of the things that I think it took time, but one of the great progress we have made is already in terms of how objectives are defined. We don't have functional objectives. The objectives are co-signed by the different functional leaders. They are the same. They are about the patients. And then functions might, spin them under how it's looking, but it's really co-signed by the different leaders, type of objectives, translated around what are either HCP or patient need, and how the different functions can commonly cater. So it might sound like something that's logical. For us, it was a pretty giant leap to get there. So leadership is the first thing that we needed to address. Then, taking the organization on the journey. So really going in creating this purpose, this sense why, what is the purpose? We are all talking about serving HCPs, to serve our patients. That's the main thing. So we are not that different. How do we go there? Going in these different steps to understand it, build those workshops, those sessions across the organizations. I think it was good in creating this purpose. Are we fully 100% there yet? I think it will be built, and only time will tell if we're successful. If this is just a one-stop exercise, and that's very often a bit the issue. Like you have one workshop, everyone is happy and energized, you forget about it, and then you go and you will go in your merry way and you will forget. So continuity, that will tell us how we are, but at least we started doing those exercises, trying to ensure that within the organization, leadership shared a common vision, then each function working in their organization via their lens, marketing, medical, digital. We have this vision. How do we ensure that we get it into a common purpose? So it was a very important one as well. Then this one is something that's very important in terms of, talking about the culture, the different elements, because each function operates in slightly different ways. And if the way that a function is operating is creating antibodies within the other, that's a very easy way, like, okay, yeah, we work together, but the first time, rubbers hit the road and we see this project, no, I don't like how they do it. That's what all the prejudice we have about that function that are proven right. Let's go back to our things. So it's important, how can we collaborate? Fostering curiosity about understanding how the other functions work. That's something, it's not only being curious about the outside. The outside should be a given, not always the case, but at least it should be something that we do. But also curious about how the other operates, because if you understand how the other function operates, why they are telling you that, why they are telling you, oh, we should do that, or we should do that in another way, etc. They don't do that just to annoy you. They have certainly good reason, and when you start to be curious about how the other, you create those empathic bridges that will make it stick. So that's something that was very important. Getting faster, that's also where we can showcase good example in some projects when really things that we would never have believed in the past. And we talked this morning about how COVID accelerated in many cases. When you have all the functions that are bound on this common goal, you can achieve results much faster than what you would have before. And if you showcase those examples within the organization as, okay, look, those were things, this is feasible, we can do more of that when it goes well, that's important. But that's one side of the coin. The other side, it's also about failure. We talked about it this morning, about failure tolerance, because it's very easy to be united all together when things go well. But the first time it doesn't go well, that will be the moment like, oh yeah, I told you we cannot work together. Oh, let's blame it on the other organization because they didn't listen to me, etc. So if you want to be strong, you want to be tight, focusing on learning, failure tolerance, being proactive in talking about failure, tolerating it, so ensuring that if you fail but you learn from it, you are not going to be punished, but you are going to be rewarded. That's something that's important. And I was very proud hearing the presentation this morning, because actually a couple of the things we did were like, oh, sometimes when we analyze ourselves, we're always complaining, but we did, along this journey, a couple of things that were not that wrong. So someone this morning was talking about we should have a conference where we share failures. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, we had a marketing event, so the whole international marketing community, it was just about sharing failure stories and what we learned from them. That's something we did, so that's great. That's the good. There's also the bad and the ugly. The bad being that I had to struggle a hell of a lot to find people that were brave enough to speak. So again, when I say it will be sustained in the long term, etc., but at least we did it, it's the first time, and now we'll see how we can sustain that further on the long term. Another thing is when we create, internal awards, like many companies, we have actually also created an award for the best failure. So that also trying to reward that. Actually, the winners of that award are here with us today. One thing also, yeah, we should. Now, one thing again, that's the good. There is also the bad and a bit the ugly in this one. Is the first is when we got the submission for the best, the best failure. Many submissions were humble brags, quite frankly. So like, oh, see, I did that, and I just had 2,000 attendance and touch points in this one. Boo-hoo, I'm so sad. Like, no, that's not a real failure. So that's, again, we need to work on the culture, but that's some submissions were like that. Another thing, which I was very happy on my side, but perhaps not the best sign, is I got nominated for many failures. So good for my ego, not the reason I'm here, but like, okay, I hope that other people would be also beyond me, accepting to be the face of failure. That would be good for the corporation. But again, this is a process, this is a journey. But all in that is really keeping this positive mindset on those points. We can do it, we'll continue, and we need to make it sustainable. So finally, perhaps that's when we get a bit more concrete, but on different steps. First one is really between the different functions, there is one customer. We cannot say that we have every function has different customers, or even worse, the same customer in different, in different databases, different systems, etc. We cannot build silos around them. So we need to think about customer as a whole. They don't care about our functions. That's one. One journey, that's also something, again, we are also on a journey about those journeys. That's a lot of journeys, but we need to ensure that we start, and very humbly, so that's also something that creates a bit of antibodies in me when I hear, oh, we are going to do AI-driven next best actions. We are very, very far from that. At the moment, if we can have, some simple programmatic journeys, that's already a good first step, but that's a step we need to take. We need to go, we need to automate. It's no magic, but that's the given step that we need to take to get there. Again, one step at a time, and sometimes I need to swallow my pride and the geek in me when I hear, oh, look, we are going to have this machine learning model. Say like, no, this is just, a tree-based programmatic model when you have only 2 branches. That's not AI. I swallow it, people are happy, and we go. But that's, again, part of the process and getting there. Working on tailoring content, so that's also something that's certainly not glamorous, but we need to tag content. We need to do all those things in the background that are necessary steps to get there. We are on this journey to do it, and part of the tagging is part of a broader activity, which is all about getting the data right. Without data, we are not going to go anywhere. That's also something that we think is easy. when we have huge, legacy organization with everyone having their own databases, and also that's a part of the culture, the trade-off that we need to make in accepting, like, oh, we might need to take a bit of a step back or a side step to accept that if we bring it together, there would be this latency time where things will not be as good as they used to be, but we're breaking the silos and we're bringing the data together. So those are the different steps that we are taking at the moment. We are getting our experiments. We are learning, to start crawling, I would say, at that stage. We are far from walking and running, but really by trying to get the different functions around it and get some experience, I think we are making interesting progress. So really the good. Let's start with what's the best and what's important. People are willing to do it. They really they care about the purpose. They care about serving our customers, our patients together. So we need to ensure that we tap on that. We've always focused on this true north. That's the most important. The bad is it will not be a kind of we click and that's the one day we are omnichannel. That's the one day everyone will work together. It takes a village. We need to take time. We need to show a lot of consistency. That's one thing we are not good at. We are good at having flash pan type of events, but we need to take it sustainable. We need to role model to show that we really mean it. We need to go on, and that's why I cannot tell you, are we successful or not today? We are on this journey. Time will tell. Perhaps in 5 years, if Dario still wants to invite me, I will be able to tell you, but I would be very arrogant to say that it would take where we are now. And, of course, the ugly is the part that's in the background. That's the part that no one wants to talk about because it's really unsexy as hell. But if you want to get there, you need to talk and you need to work on your processes. You need to work on your data architecture. You need to make those changes that are critical, that are never easy because our own architecture, our own processes are not built for that. But if we don't take, that's the emerge part of the iceberg. If we don't take part and take care of that, we are not going to make the change. So this is where we are on a journey. I really hope that if and when Chris sees the video, she will say that I did decent justice to her presentation. She would have done a much better job than me, so I'm still very sorry and I apologize, but I hope at least I could bridge the gap. And I will see you guys very, very soon again. Thank you very much.